welcome to the Clarity Zone.
Hey, Cameron. I'm Robbie.
I'm Cameron. How
How
you
you doing?
doing, Robbie?
I'm doing all right.
Cool. We're gonna be talking about cool stuff.
But first, we're with a special guest. Who are we with?
Who are we with? Who is sitting next?
Alex Body.
No.
Hi, it's Cazden.
Hey, turn yourself down, mother.
Hey, am I good now? Test.
Yeah, now you're good. Wait, I think it turned
Hi, my
myself
name's
down.
Cazden.
Hey.
Hi, my name's Cazden.
Hi, my name is Robbie.
Hi,
All right, we're cool.
No.
No, we're fine.
Hi, my name's Cazden.
Wow, what do you do, Cazden? How do you do?
Why do I always get interviewed?
Why do you?
I don't like this.
Okay, so
Can I just be
so
another
Cazden heard that we were talking about an interesting conversation. So if any of you listening have seen the Planet of the Apes, we're doing a spin-off of our own called the Planet of the Corvids.
The corvids. And a corvid is a bird.
Robbie's giving me looks. What's the issue?
Which one is my knob?
You're the third knob. You are the third knob. How many
Okay,
times do I have to
sorry.
tell you?
Sometimes they talk. And
I
it's a
am
bit
not
too
this. I am the second knob. You muted me for a second. Test.
That is not doing anything.
Testosterone.
Just letting you know. That's
Okay,
not
then
doing.
I don't know which one you are. Then is that you?
Yep,
That's you.
I figured it out. Yeah, you guys talk.
Test.
Yep, now it's perfect.
Dope.
Perfect.
Cool. So we're going to be talking about an interesting subject that regards a particular bird that you might have seen outside.
It's the big one.
Yeah, the big old boys.
Is it a
Not too
bird or
big.
is it a?
It's
Is it a human?
it's a bird. No, well, okay, that's an interesting conversation.
Okay, let's
there,
not
Robbie.
dive into it there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's not dive too far in. So, first thing we'll talk about is how did humans start?
Well, that's a. Why don't you just ask me?
Tell-
Does
t-
God exist?
Oh,
That's
man,
that
no.
size of a
Tell
question.
me, Robbie. Tell me.
Okay. What?
How do you think human civilization started?
Civilization?
And this isn't like I don't know verbatim, but we'll just talk about how we think it started. And if there's people who disagree with me, then have a conversation with me. Go.
Okay. How do I think human civilization?
Yeah,
started?
like Neolithic, and then maybe into the city.
Yeah, there's just maybe a pack of humans just
Right.
wandering around, like, oh, gotta go collect some berries.
Just one pack.
Yeah,
a singular
They,
pack.
they
yeah.
called
There's about 10 of these guys.
they were team human, and then their
Yeah.
name, yeah.
So they're like, ah, man, we gotta find some more berries in some like fertile land. So like, oh, they found one, and then they just kind of set up camp permanently,
Yep,
and their
right now,
kids fixed it and
yeah,
like improved it.
Neolithic farmers, and
Yeah,
then
definitely.
hunter gatherers, farmers, and then people that binge watch Netflix, just like that,
Bingo bongo.
Bingo bongo. But yeah, but I want to ask you guys listening, how did we develop our tools?
Well, that's a good question, Cameron. Now, how we develop those tools. I mean, I assume it'd be a trial and error type of thing, right?
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
like,
no, of
what
course.
kills the rabbit quickest to eat?
So
right, but
what- yeah.
what is the thing killing the rabbit, depending on where you are in the world?
I mean, if you make a spear, it's going to be the spear going through it.
But what is driving the spear?
The human with the arm, and the arm has muscle. And
But
the
there's
muscle goes
something at the end of the arm that
A
really
hand.
a hand.
Oh, a hand. That's what we're getting
and
to.
then,
Okay.
and then
okay.
there's
Hand.
something that is on
Hands.
that hand.
A thumb.
Fingernails.
Wow. Well, corvids have those too, but I'm trying to.
Oh, they have fingers.
Yes. So
What's a
Thumbs.
corvid?
We have thumbs.
thumbs.
Funny enough.
Thumbs. If we could, in my opinion, we could chalk up how humans became because of our hands. I think it would have been much harder to craft tools. Like, I mean, think about it: axes, hoes, rakes. All of these tools were, the only reason they worked is because we have hands.
Because we can grip those
Yeah.
tools.
So I'd like to experiment with an idea and toy with, what if there was another creature to, be as intelligent as us and have their own society, their own cities, their own jobs, their own podcasts,
Taxes.
but they are birds. How would they build tools? How would they operate machines? Okay, and to shed a little light on today's topic, we're going to be discussing super intelligent birds by the specific family of corvid. That's Corvie.
You're a corvid.
Corvid. Well, I mean,
Corvidae.
that's a good. I mean, they're as intelligent. So there's some studies that I've sent over to you that are they talk about how they're as intelligent as some primates and great apes, and it's really creepy. But yeah. So let's make a little hypothetical world of a world run by
Some
corvid.
world building right now.
Yeah. So I mean,
Some world building.
would their cities how would they evolve? You know what I mean?
I really like imagining things like this, because like imagine, so humans, obviously the car, like our cars are made specifically for us. You sit in it and everything you need is like in your reach, right? You have the
It's
steering
perfectly
wheel.
made
It's all perfectly
for
made
an ape.
for a human, like an ape with hands that grips things. But I love thinking about what if like birds had to make a car, like it wouldn't
Or
all
would
look
they
like
even-
a car.
would they even
Would
use a
need
car?
I mean, if their society got to the point, I assume they'd stop flying.
Yeah.
Because that's like work. It's like us running. We don't run anymore.
Just something if they had to make one, like like their car would have places to hold their wings and places for their beaks to poke things for
Yeah.
like the buttons.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
Which
I
is-
would assume that their beak would become sort of an index
As
finger of
our
sorts.
fingers,
I mean, maybe
yes.
they steer the car with their beak, just pointing their head, because they can move their necks. Like,
Yeah, or if let's say so let's have a little situation here. So if corvids, which we'll talk about some subjects in a second, some studies in a second where they talk about how these animals are extremely intelligent. If they're already that intelligent, then I don't think it'd be so far to say as by the time they get to a point where they invent a car, maybe they have higher technology than we do because they're just starting out that much smarter. So what if they steer their cars with their minds, and they communicate telepathically, and
super birds.
like do they, and then what is the outcome of the rest of society? Like humans and apes, are they the ones like scouring the streets for bird seed? You know what I mean? Like
the family of like a wealthy corvid walks by and throws some breadcrumbs at the apes on the ground.
yeah, they go and feed. They bring a loaf of bread to the pond and go feed the local humans. Like, it's insane. But I mean, it's just so interesting to think about, and that's a possibility in the future, in my opinion.
You
Like,
really think so?
I really think so. And just to prove, or
Here I am thinking AI is gonna destroy us, and you think it's
no,
the corvids.
it's the damn birds.
What if AI did destroy us, and then these something has to like take our
and the
niche.
birds like came up from behind and just destroyed the AI.
Yeah.
Watch
They
out.
used that as an opportunity.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
They flanked them, just like, ha! We have
No.
the world now.
No, what
They
I'm saying.
ally with the AI to destroy humans.
Yes. No, what I'm saying is that what if humans destroy themselves and these birds take our
Place on the planet.
exactly.
Oof.
Yeah. What if
The
what if
planet of the
human
birds.
beings were never meant to leave the planet, but the
But
corvids
birds,
actually
they were
are
meant
the,
to fly away.
they're the interplanetary species now.
They're what's the Earth's been cooking up.
That would be an interesting podcast, which is why we're making it. But
That's today. Yep.
yeah,
Right
so
now.
just since we've been talking about this, why don't we look at some legitimate studies by some scientists that have, looked into
Professionals.
corvids. Yeah. Why don't you pull something up?
Let's take a gander.
Crows may be as intelligent as apes, scientists say. The family of birds includes crows, ravens, rooks, and jays, maybe
Yeah.
among the most intelligent animals on Earth,
Wow.
based on their ability just to solve problems, make tools, and apparently consider both possibilities the future. Wow.
Yeah, no, I had a cousin, it was one Thanksgiving, where he was telling me about this idea that he had heard from one of his friends, that what if you were to train a bunch of crows to go and search for change on the streets, and then pick up the change and then put it in these machines, and depending on how large that a dollar amount was, that's how much food they would receive from the machine. So the crow would see a shiny penny, and they would put it in the machine and get paid, equal amount of that penny in food, and get rich off the corvids.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
So it says here that they've done tests on crows, and they are capable of a lot of things. one of the things that very few animals can do is they can recognize oneself in a mirror. So they look in a mirror and they see themselves, like they understand that is
They
me,
understand that's
rather than that's another animal.
To me, that's awfully disturbing. That you
Dogs don't even do that.
Yeah, no.
A lot of animals don't do that. They are
Oh.
capable of solving complex problems, making tools, and using analogies and symbols.
analogies like language.
Well, let me look into it. But they can look at.
There was a study
This
I
is
was
a
reading
scientist
on.
thing.
This isn't necessarily a corvid, but it does tie into the whole bird idea. I
Mhm.
believe it was one of Darwin's finches on I think the Galapagos.
Yeah, Galapagos.
And they this it was I think it's called like the Darwinian woodpecker or something. Don't hold me to this, but they looked into it that these little finches would run around and they would search for cactuses to rip the needles off of, and to use that cactus needle as a woodpecker beak to get grubs out of the thing. And not only did they use it, they would lengthen and shorten, or they would cut down the needle to make it more efficient on whatever hole, and they would carry around a little bundle of different sizes, and they would go through them and see whichever one was the appropriate one to get the grub.
That's incredible.
So they were like skipping evolution. Like,
Yeah,
if,
they were
if I
just
don't
like-
have the beak for it, then let's go make a tool for
I'm
it.
just gonna,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Researchers have done tests where they get objects and they match them up, and then they mismatch them, and they present them to crows, and crows are able to match them together and get them correct. 78% of the time they got it correct.
Wow.
Yes. That is a high number. And
Yeah, that's
so that's
more than half.
more than half the time they get the match correct.
That's incredibly disturbing. I still think that these blackbirds are just floating. I mean, we live in southeast Texas, and we have these supermarkets called H-E-B, and
Mhm.
there's this one store right by where we all live where there's these. How many are
There's
there?
an unreal amount of birds that come here
It's-
every year and just swarm through
It
the
is
skies.
the sky is just dark with birds. It looks like an entire
There's
cloud.
thousands. There's thousands of them.
It's gotten to the point where HEB has like tried to scare them away by putting up owl statues all across the
I
top of the
didn't even
store.
realize, but
Yeah.
that totally makes sense. That's
And the
why
first
they're there.
year, it worked. The birds weren't as bad, but then the birds just came back and
Because
back
they're
and
smart.
back.
They don't.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, let's wait for this owl to move.
It's incredibly
10
funny.
minutes later, it's like, okay, this thing's not moving, and then there's masses come in.
No, I've walked to my car and it's just pelted with feces.
Yeah,
It's disgusting.
pelted, y'all.
It's horrible. Like you'll go inside and you'll think that you're safe, and oh no, my car is now painted white.
It's raining.
It's
out
sick.
there, man.
It's disgusting. And it just think about like every flap that they take, the amount of bacteria flying off of their wings. It's like giving like not only is it a rain
Not
of
only are they
feces-
smart, but they're disgusting.
yeah, seriously. It's sick. Absolutely disgusting.
Okay, so also another thing the researchers have studied is they call them feathered craftsmen. So they are skilled with making tools. Like they would make certain tools for certain events.
Mining.
There you go.
Diamonds.
They made an iPhone. Like they're capable. No.
No.
But it's interesting. They're able to use certain objects for certain things. So, for example, seagulls will use rocks to crack shellfish.
Okay,
And-
now let's take a moment. If we're going to be talking about tool use for a second, we need to determine two types of tools. There's nature facts and there's artifacts. Nature facts are tools like, for example, let's create a hypothetical. So, Cazden is pitching a tent. Okay.
That's what.
He,
Yep.
he
pitching a tent.
he's staking the ground and he's pulling the tent, and he needs a way to get the stake into the ground, and you don't have a hammer. What are you going to
Darn.
use?
I'm gonna use my fist.
Well, you could do
'cause
that.
I'm
But that
raw.
would be
I'd
be
use-
stupid
Yeah.
because you'd
I-
hurt yourself.
Okay. I'd find a heavy stick.
A heavy stick that would work, yeah. Or you could use a stone. You could
Or
use
yeah, stone would probably
could-
be the best option.
You could literally use anything that has a relative mass.
my boot.
Yeah, anything that's heavy. Yeah, seriously. But what that would be, a stone or a heavy stick would be called a nature fact. It's an unaltered, it's a pure tool straight off of nature. Going back to the finch that used cactus needles, those are nature facts. But as soon as you alter that thing, it becomes an artifact. A hammer.
Which would be a hammer, yeah.
Yeah, it says here they've altered a lot of things. Usually chimpanzees do not alter their tools in any way. They will use it exactly how they find it. Crows, ravens, they've been known to sharpen sticks to poke at larvae or worms
Ooh.
to get
Ugh.
their food.
They're making spears.
They can make
Yeah, like
spears.
seriously,
I
they're
mean-
making their own spears.
What's next?
Wait until they learn that you can hurt humans with that.
Yeah, no, it's scary. And I mean, again, going back to our finch, like I would assume. Oh, excuse me. I would assume that finch is significantly less intelligent than the crows that we're talking about, but it still created an artifact. It altered the needle and would carry them around.
Yeah, they cut them shorter. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
you said, yeah.
It's
That's
very very
crazy.
strange.
You think that's strange? Let's segue into the next part with speaking. These
Okay.
birds, some of them are capable of actually speaking.
Yes, and there's an extremely disturbing video on YouTube of this raven handler who has taught their companion to say specific words like hello, how are you, like sneezing noises.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've all heard the cliche parrot noise. It's very robotic. Wouldn't you say?
It's very much rehearsing exactly, what the human had taught it to say.
That's
right?
what I was about to say. See, is it actually them understanding what they're saying, or is it just repetition?
It's mimicry mostly.
Like
but
I want this piece of food. Do they know what they're saying, or are they just listening to what the human said?
I don't know, but in this video, it's very clean. It's very not that like bird noise. It's just
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no.
Bird noise is provided by Cameron Hook.
No, you can buy those on SoundCloud. But so the
Pond 5.
audio jungle. No, it would open its mouth and hold it open, and it would be like ask. I'm the Raven, Cazden. Tell me what you want me to say or whatever. Just talk to me.
Open the window.
I will open the window. That's how it sounded. It was really strange, and it would just keep its mouth open, and the voice would come out.
Yeah.
It'd be like,
Okay,
odd.
but was it like actually realistic, or could it possibly be edited?
No, this video is.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
No, me and Cazden both have
I've
seen
seen
this
this
video,
video.
and
It's
we
very
edit
eerie.
video. We were around this all the time. I would think we know what altered
Okay,
video.
but you
looks
see
like.
where I'm coming from.
No,
where-
no.
completely.
Completely, yeah, no, for sure.
No, this is a video because it's just there's multiple takes on this because these birds can have that level of like, oh, completely sorry. These birds can have that level of having like that vocal. What am I trying to say? It can really sound like a man,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
really creepy.
and so I don't think it's very stretched or far
it's,
from
it's,
reality.
It's very strange, and I mean, I think we talked about this in a earlier podcast about how one of the first animals to ever ask a question was an African gray parrot, and it asked, "What color am I?" That's the first question, to my knowledge, that a animal's ever asked. It was, "What color am I?"
Didn't we have to? This is kind of far away, but didn't we have to read some story? I don't know if it was a STAR test or like a
Edgar Allan
PSAT,
Poe?
but like it was a story where like a bird learned so much vocabulary. It was some gray parrot, something like that. Where I don't know. I remember during like one of those standardized tests we had to read about it.
I don't remember that, but I do remember reading. I believe it was Edgar Allan Poe's "Telltale Heart,"
Yes,
where
yes,
the
I've read that.
ravens running around saying "Nevermore."
Yeah.
I remember that. That was really creepy. That's a really good little short story for those of you who are interested in that sort of thing. But yeah, it's strange. And why don't we talk about there's a man who on YouTube, you can go look him up, and he has a pet raven.
Yeah.
And he posts these videos about how, living with him is like, he compares it to living with a narcissist and like somebody who just absolutely hates him, and like he'll just torture him. This raven will torture this man, and it's ridiculous. Like, how?
So I see researchers have. I'm reading here. Birds have the ability. They learn that certain communication with humans will help them get what they want. Right?
So manipulation.
Yes, it
Wow.
goes.
Essentially, they're manipulating us.
Yes,
both.
just
No.
like cats. I mean, cats aren't domesticated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these crows are able to. Like their memory. They have a very strong memory with these terms, and supposedly they can dream. These
Wow,
crows.
that's highly disturbing.
I mean, that's what it says here. Yeah, that really what? Like how we're gonna
dreamed
destroy
that
the
I
human-
caught a worm today.
I mean, yeah, they would dream about whatever we think about. I mean,
I
like
mean,
what
would
do
they
we
be as
dream?
insane as
I'm
I
sure.
dream?
I'm sure the birds have separate, like. I think a lot of animals might have dreams. It
Do
might
they
be.
trip?
It could just be images playing in their
Can
head.
they
I-
get high
could
and
define a
trip?
dream.
I bet the dreams are a lot. I don't know though. I wonder if they could be as
It
crazy.
might not be as
'Cause,
like,
like,
in depth as ours.
we have
but maybe
very
just images playing in their head. Who knows?
yeah.
What defines
It's just a dream
dream
of it flying. It
Do
doesn't even
they-
know it's dreaming.
do
It doesn't
they
know when it
ha-
wakes up. It just flies.
Do they have a language of any kind?
Birds?
Well, corvids.
No.
Ravens.
Not that I know of, but they are able to remember.
Because they're
a
very
lot of humans-
verbose. They're very
human
vocal
terms.
birds.
They scream.
Yeah.
What I want to. Well, I wonder how. What I thought about just now is I wonder if it's difficult for them to understand other languages more. Like I wonder if English is more easier for them to comprehend rather than like Mandarin maybe. Who knows?
Who
Maybe
knows?
if there's like a certain language where they can't really like it's hard for them to pronounce things or they can't remember it as easily. I don't know.
I would assume when it comes to understanding that I mean, obviously, if they lived with an English speaker, they would probably pick up on some of the words, but they would probably mostly get a lot of what they say out of the tone of how the person's talking.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean,
Uh-huh.
like going back to the guy on YouTube,
Yeah.
he'll be like, yeah, you can totally tell the bird that it messed up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna be like apparently they just get a rise out of it, or his bird in particular will be like, "Oh, look what I made you go crazy!" Ooh, and then apparently he'll dance around and kind of like flutter his feathers, like, "Oh, you got so upset and I did that." I mean, this bird, man,
It sounds like a terrible person.
no, it's apparently a terrible person. This bird will steal this guy's car keys,
Mhm.
go hide them, and then take his wallet, fumble through, and then get his driver's license out and try to destroy it while he's looking for the car keys. That's
Not a fun roommate.
No, that's mean. Like that's horrible.
Yeah.
And like and you can watch one of his videos and
Yeah.
he talked about as soon as he mentioned the word torture, the raven looked at him and like pecked his head. Like
It knows.
it does know. And
Also, in this guy's video, it's really funny, but like he just has all the birds in his house just fly around loosely.
oh yeah, no, we
The
have
raven
no
just
idea where
hops around like
he,
a cat.
He lives in a dump. It's just filled with objects. I don't know.
I wonder if his bird complains about it. Like, hey man, you want to clean this place up?
I mean, he's probably thinking that
Yeah.
as much of
like,
a
wow,
of a jerk as this
what
bird
a
is.
shack.
Yeah. In fact, this reminds me. I took environmental science class this last semester.
Oh, so you're qualified.
Naturally.
Wow.
But so shout out to Miss Salim. She was fantastic. But we would read every Friday. We would read Science Friday, which was a news forum, and I believe they also have a podcast. But they did a study on corvids looking and recognizing faces. So pretty much in a nutshell, there was this flock of wild ravens. I think it was the University of Washington, but they a couple years ago did this study where they would walk out to these group of ravens outside, and they would bring them food, and the ravens would recognize them, and there were days where they wouldn't bring food, and the birds would notice them, and then they would bring someone else that didn't bring the food, and they wouldn't really come out. Now they tried a different approach, so they brought a dead raven, and they carried it, and they had these extremely disturbing human-like masks on that just made them not look like them. It was very of the uncanny valley, but they would carry these ravens, and the birds absolutely erupted in noise and seemed like how disrespected they were to, like, what have you done to our brethren?
Yeah.
Like, it's so disturbing, and they were like blown away that these birds would like acknowledge the dead. I mean, to me, the fact that elephants mourn the dead is disturbing, but when you think of something that much smaller
I'm
doing
reading
it,
that right now that they sometimes hold funerals for their fellow
what?
birds.
No! Tell us about that. Tell us.
They do it on like a telephone wire.
There's like a collection of birds on a tree. They show respect for the dead and hold funerals. Some of them do. Dr. Mark.
So do they have like an idea of the afterlife?
Well, let me see.
Do they acknowledge
Dr.
death?
Mark Beckoff has studied various animals, including corvids, and noted some of them have interesting rituals to honor fallen friends.
Wow.
Much like other animals, corvids are known to mourn their dead. Okay, a lot of animals do that. You know, elephants, they'll mourn, but
I believe dolphins will too.
they have been known to retrieve grass and laying it near the deceased,
Wow.
and then they would just kind of like stand next to it. It's yikes. There's other things on here I've been reading while y'all are talking. Oh my. They have a strong social hierarchy. It's similar to many mammalian hierarchies. Wow, that's a word. In various ways. For example, a 12-year-old study of western jackdaws showed some interesting insight into their bird's social structure. Larger males often achieved more prominence within the social structure. So obviously, that's like that in a lot of animal groups where there's like a person they look up to, or someone not really look up to, but
I guess
kind of the
you
leader of the
just
group.
listen to all these like accounts, and it's just like, aren't they supposed to be stupid? Like, don't you just
Cameron does not like intelligent animals.
don't you just
They will adopt other birds.
Oh, really?
Researchers were studying crows when they observed baby crows whose parents died from West Nile. Their neighbor crows took them into their nest and cared for them. Wow. So
That's sick.
if they see that other like young birds don't have their parents, they will take them into their own nest
How
and raise them.
interesting. That's so strange. Now, but I mean, seriously, like, bird-brained is a real phrase that we use. Like, aren't birds, like, inherently stupid?
I mean,
Like
that's when I guess you're
chickens-
talking about like a woodpecker or a chicken or something. Where they
Chickens...
just walk around and live.
I mean, have you seen a turkey move around? It looks like it's drunk.
Have you heard it?
Yeah, seriously. It's so strange.
Corvids are able to play pranks. They love to play pranks
Well,
on
that's kinda like-
humans and other animals for their own amusement.
Just like that guy was talking about with the wallet. He was doing that completely out of his own...
he was.
he was-
Corvid's like, I'm just gonna take your wallet.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm getting a kick out of it. You know, I don't care.
Yeah. My human takes
Wow.
that to work every day.
It's the
I'm gonna take it from him.
It's the epitome of like you talk about how like, oh, are you a dog
Oh my
person or a cat
gosh.
person? Cats are
So-
jerks. No, corvids apparently are
yeah.
the hell
Ravens.
Yeah.
Mm.
So listen to this. One zookeeper noted a certain type of bird would mimic the voice of employees responsible for feeding chickens. The chickens would come running, but there would be no food. So the corvids would just do this for their own amusement. They'll just
Oh
mess
my-
with the
So
chickens.
they look at these,
That's
look at
so
these, look at
good.
these dumbos over here. Let's
Yeah.
watch them run,
Look at
boys.
these inferior,
Look at these bicamerals.
these bicameral birds.
Shout out.
yeah. Check out that podcast.
No, but they're very advanced. Just even finding ways to amuse themselves. A lot of animals don't have the capacity to understand that. They need to survive. These are not only trying to survive, but
They're trying to live good.
yeah, these corvids,
Yeah, living large, living like
You're right.
Larry. No, but like, it's so creepy. Like, there's some nihilistic philosophers that talk about how the things that we do before we die are simply just like jobs. All these things that literally anything you do while you're alive, you're pretty much, they were invented to give yourself a distraction before you die. So, and that's the complete nihilist view. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's the thought. And I mean, if these birds have a concept of death and they think, well, you know, I got to do something before I keel over. Let's make these chickens run around. Like, that's incredibly
interesting. You
That's
think
super interesting.
they know death is like imminent?
I
Obviously they hold funerals, but do they know themselves are gonna die?
I mean, if you look at that, like, I read that one study where they looked at a dead body and they like acknowledged it. I feel like if you
See, that's what I say, but like they understand that the others die and
Do
they
they
will
know they'll
respect
die?
it, but do they know their own death? Because I feel like an animal wouldn't like sit comfortably knowing that fact.
personally,
Because their one thing is to survive. That's the thing in their mind. They have to find food. They have to reproduce. But if animals understood that they could die, that's gonna I feel like that'll change them. Because like humans, we know we're gonna die someday, and that changes how we act and we make decisions for the future. But I wonder if there's some instinct or thought in their head where they know they are gonna die someday. Because they're very aware that their fellow birds are gonna die, and they have. So just something to.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, I would think, and maybe y'all can prove me wrong, but I would think if you acknowledge something, then you can, if you're going to, to me, when I go to a funeral, with the very few that I've been to, fortunately, you go there and it's definitely out of respect for their life, but I feel like it's also acknowledging that you at one point will be there, and that's why I'm paying respect. Because at the end of the day, we're all creatures. We all have a end date, you know, and
See, yeah, that's the thing. But we understand that we're self-aware of ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we need. I don't know if these birds are like they
Well,
obviously they can see themselves in the mirror.
Right, that's what I'm
But
about to say.
Does that mean they know they are a independent thinking like creature that will die someday, and you're living right now?
Well, going back to that mirror study, I read a similar one where they did it with multiple animals, and the way that they showed, like you might be thinking, how do you know if it saw itself in the mirror? So the way that the study worked is they would have a mirror, and they would put a little dot of paint at like an unnatural color, and like maybe even though it's not an unnatural color, I know, but let's say it's a yellow dot on the mirror, and the raven is standing there, and it notices on the reflection that there's this yellow thing on its body. The raven scratched itself. So that is self-awareness, because it's what is that on
I'm
me?
dirty. Let me just wipe
Let
this
me
off.
let me scratch this off. And they've done that with great apes, and there's some species of monkeys that don't even realize it. And they did a control where they did a black dot, and the ravens didn't notice anything. So it's not like they just randomly did it.
Yeah, no.
You know. But yeah, so to going back to the whole death thing, if they really do have an idea of that's me in the mirror, then they must be able to do a similar thought where they go, that could be me in the future.
Okay,
Awesome,
that's
yeah.
interesting. But every time I think, okay, so let's say they're aware of their death.
Right.
It's gonna happen someday. I, as a crow, I'm gonna die someday. That means that, well, I mean, I'm sure every human has thought of this. When you're gonna die, it's kind of like, well, what's really the point? What's the point of all of this if we're just gonna die someday? I mean, if we do that, if we all have that one question in our mind, do you think those crows would question that? Like, what's the point of this survival if I'm just gonna die?
I don't know if I'd give them that much intellectual
No.
credence.
See, that's I'm just saying, when you start questioning, like when you know you're gonna die, then that I feel like that's kind of a follow-up question.
Yeah.
You snowball down into the whole nihilistic view
yeah.
about
Yeah,
that.
that's what I was going to say. We were just talking about nihilism. I don't necessarily think they have their own Nietzsche's and
No.
you know, I don't think they've gotten there, but it is definitely strange that they do that. Very, very weird. I don't know how I feel about that. Now, bringing it back to the...
So bird cars.
Yes, bringing it back, like, I mean, I guess we can all agree that it is possible that birds could create their own society, but how would they...
Give them enough time.
How would they terraform Earth into their benefit? Would they grow? Would
They
they
would
like...
take to the trees.
Yeah,
and then
would
they
they
would work their way
genetically
down.
engineer these giant trees?
Telephone poles everywhere.
I don't know how they do it. Would they have jobs?
Can you imagine a bird city? What would it look like? Because like, would they want to be put inside?
I
Most
think
likely,
they could have
eventually.
jobs. It's likely they each of them have their own thing they do to help the pact.
Yeah, like an
That's
ant.
what ants
yes.
do. That they have
There's
their individual.
actually the same study that was talking about the dots in the mirrors. There's apparently some ants that could recognize themselves in mirrors.
Why?
No, I don't know.
Why?
Okay,
But
so
I
this
mean,
is
I
kind
guess,
of
I guess you have to have some kind of self-awareness if you're in a colony setting. Like, I'm a
Yeah,
piece of the puzzle.
I am a worker. You are a gatherer.
Yeah, I can see that.
you
But
know.
what were you gonna say?
I said this is off topic, but I saw a video where this man he found the little chemical that ants release when
the
they
pheromones,
die.
yeah.
Yes. So they notice when an ant dies, the colony will just walk past his body for like 3 days.
Right.
After 3 days, that chemical will excrete. How do you say it?
Excrete.
Yeah, whatever. Out of his body. So it has this certain smell, because ants communicate with smell. And so they're like, oh, this this ant is dead. Let's move him to the dead pile.
Right.
So after they smell that on him, and then they're like,
Throw
okay,
him
they
with
move.
the
But is the ant alive?
No, it's dead
Oh,
because
okay.
it releases
He
it.
died 3 days ago.
Oh, okay. This,
So
this
it-
boy rotten. Like,
It did. So this scientist, he did a test where he got that same chemical from the ant when they die.
Yeah.
We have ability to get. It's like similar to a different chemical.
Yeah. No.
So
no,
he
no.
dropped it on the ant, a little drop of it, and all the ants started swarming him, and they carried him to the dead pile.
That's
But he
it's-
wasn't
and
dead?
That's a
and the
horror
ant himself,
movie.
he thought
Th-
he was dead.
he was-
So he just
No.
laid there, like, I guess I'm dead, so I'm not gonna
He was
get up.
buried alive, and he knew.
No, he just kind of chilled there until the smell.
He accepted it.
Yeah, the smell wiped off after a while, so he just went back to
And
work.
now he's like, oh, okay.
But it was
That's
so funny. He
ridiculous.
just accepted his own death. He's
Yeah.
like, I guess I'm dead now since
No.
he smells himself. And they all smell, because like their program, their instinct is like, oh, that smell equals death. So when
Yeah.
they smell that on himself, he's like, I guess this is it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Put
he
me in
just
the
laid
pile,
there.
guys.
Yeah, but yeah,
I've done my duties, brothers.
I just
Like,
And
ants
after
are
a
so
week when the
interesting.
smell wears off, he's like, all right, I'm just going to go back
that's
to work.
insane. I mean, think about it. Like, would oh my god, would crows like raise primates as food like we raise chickens?
I have no idea. Based on the knowledge we have today, I don't think it's that far in
No, no,
advance.
no, no, no. We're
but
bringing
you're
it
saying
back-
at some point,
Yes.
like they will
Theoretically,
evolve into
hypothetically.
this.
I
to
mean,
what our brains are
do
like.
birds like primate meat?
I mean,
Human
vultures, man.
That's true. They eat whatever they can get.
And I don't necessarily, and I don't know. It's interesting. As much research as we did, I didn't look up the diet of a
But
raven.
I was also gonna say we should look up how much energy it takes them to fly.
Yes,
You know?
because I mean,
if it's less energy, I mean maybe they incorporate flying as a major thing in their society. If not, maybe they just stop flying.
and they become flightless, sort of like penguins.
Exactly.
So let's have this hypothetical world where
Okay.
the crows and the corvids, all of them, they're the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
They control everything, and we're still on Earth. What would our role play in their empire?
Their food.
Really? They would eat us? I feel like they have better options to eat. Would they be so far in advance where they could use us as workers or slaves?
As laborers.
As laborers, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we don't. Well,
feel like they
we
will
do.
go-
We use like elephants. We used to.
We would I think they would go through the same evolution as us. We all humans, well not all, but most empires had slaves.
Yeah.
So I feel like they have to go through that phase of their empire, and then they start getting more advanced and they realize, "Oh, this is wrong. Let's have the humans do this. They should be equal."
or would
I
they
don't know.
farm?
That's also true.
They'd ride
But
us
maybe
like
maybe they
horses.
wouldn't see us as equals since we are
Like on the back
we are
of your
different
neck.
No, they
ways.
definitely wouldn't. If they're
No,
truly as
yeah, no.
narcissistic as what we think. But I mean, bringing it back to the ants, there's a specific species. Again, I can't remember the exact one, but they farm in their colonies, and they farm this fungus that has been cultivated for so long in these ant mounds that it's not found naturally anymore. It literally can only be grown by these ants.
So it's like honey for bees.
No, but honey is a byproduct.
Okay.
These ants were at one point normal ants, but they realized, oh my gosh, this fungus tastes so much better and it's so much more nutritious. Let's just grow this. So they
Oh.
did, and now they
Now
have
the
literally
fungus
they've
is-
domesticated their own fungus. And if an ant is going to start a new colony and they sprout their wings and they go out, the queen will give them a sample of the fungus because it literally can't be found anywhere else, and they go out and make their own little colonies. That's ridiculous. And again, bringing it back, animals, I think there's a lot more intelligence than what we really think in animals. It's really crazy. I don't know.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I really don't think corvids are an issue right now, or at least
no, but they're,
in
they're
our-
great
in our
conversation.
lifetime. Yeah.
yeah.
in
We're
our
not going to
lifetime,
war.
I don't think.
No, not at all.
Unless
This would be if
un-
this even were to happen.
unless that's what they
probably-
want us to
Probably
think.
hundreds of thousands of, I'd maybe even go so far, millions of years in the future.
No, I think the corvids are just so far in advance. They want us to believe that
We're at the top.
We're sitting pretty, and they're like, "Oh, let's let them think that they're comfortable," and then right when they close their eyes, let's get them.
Yeah. Well, if any of you guys listening found what we were talking about today interesting, check us out at arcadiamediacollective.com, and we'll have the rest of our podcasts lined up there. And
Oh yeah, email us too.
Yeah, email us.
ArcadiaMediaCollective@gmail.com.
Yeah,
Send
and,
us topics that are what you think are interesting.
Yeah, hit us up. We'd love to have some topics that y'all decide for us, because it's a journey finding things to talk about.
Yes.
So yeah, thank
Thank
you
you
for
for-
listening, and
Thank you
don't
for having me.
don't
Yeah,
underestimate.
thanks,
a bird.
Cazden, for being on the show. It was
Cazden,
great.
don't
Bet.
underestimate them corvids.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
when-
be looking out for the ants. Actually,
The ants, yeah, they're the real threat.
y'all are looking at the air. I'm looking at the ground.
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening. We'll see y'all next week on the Clarity Zone.